Welcome to Revenge with Precious, where we share real stories of betrayal, resilience, and the courage to stand up for yourself. These are tales of people who refused to stay silent, who drew boundaries when love turned toxic, and who chose their peace over family obligation. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, these stories are for you. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that might change how you see your own life. Please, watch till the end. Let's get started. The fork froze halfway to my mouth when her voice sliced through the dining room. Maybe if you stopped pretending to be some tech genius and got a real job, you wouldn't be such a financial disgrace. The words hung in the air like smoke. My uncle choked on his wine trying not to laugh. My cousin Bryce smirked into his napkin. Aunt Delilah's eyes went wide, then soft with pity. I sat there, the turkey growing cold on my plate, staring at the woman who'd asked me 3 months ago if I could spot her rent money. The same woman who'd opened a credit card in my name when I was 22 and never told me until collectors started calling. That morning, exactly 6 hours before this dinner, I'd signed papers in a law firm downtown. My software company had been acquired by a Silicon Valley firm for $12.6 million. The wire transfer confirmation sat in my email inbox, time-stamped 11:43 a.m. She had no idea. None of them did. I set my fork down slowly, met her eyes, and smiled. Not the kind of smile that forgives. The kind that waits. Growing up, I learned early that love in our house came with conditions. My brother Kendrick could sleep until noon, drop out of community college twice, and still get called a free spirit finding his path. I could pull straight A's, work weekends, save every dollar, and here, well, let's not get too proud now. When Kendrick crashed Mom's car at 19, she paid for repairs and bought him a newer one. When I asked to borrow hers for a job interview at 20, she said I should learn to take the bus like everyone else. The pattern was set before I even understood what patterns were. He was the golden child, effortlessly loved. I was the reliable one, quietly tolerated. On my 16th birthday, Mom gave me a card with $20 inside. Kendrick's 16th came with a laptop and a party at the bowling alley. When I asked why mine was different, she said, "You're more practical. You don't need all that fuss." I smiled and thanked her. Even then, I was learning to swallow words that tasted like glass. My first real money came from coding freelance websites when I was 17. A classmate's dad needed a site for his plumbing business. Simple layout, contact form, photo gallery. I charged him $200 and spent 3 nights building it in my bedroom. When I showed Mom the check, her face lit up. Not with pride. With opportunity. "That's wonderful, honey," she said, folding laundry. "You know the electric bill's overdue. Could you maybe help out this month?" I handed over $150. She took it without looking at me, tucked it in her purse, and said, "You're such a good kid." The next month, she asked again. And the month after. It became routine. I'd earn money, she'd find a reason to need it. Phone bill. Car insurance. Groceries. Each time, the request came wrapped in guilt and gratitude, a combination that made saying no feel impossible. I never got my money back. Never even got a receipt. College was supposed to be my escape. I applied to 3 state schools, got into 2, picked the one farthest from home. Financial aid covered tuition, but living expenses were on me. I worked campus security on weekends, delivered food on weeknights, coded websites when I could find clients. I slept 4 hours most nights and ran on coffee that tasted like burnt regret. Then, halfway through sophomore year, I got denied for an apartment lease. The landlord said my credit was flagged. I pulled my report and stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Parent Plus loans. 4 of them. All in my name. All in default. I called Mom that night, hands shaking. "Did you take out loans using my information?" She sighed like I'd accused her of something trivial. Don't be dramatic, Elia. We're family. I needed help with Kendrick's expenses. You were always so independent, I figured you'd understand. I didn't yell. I just hung up and stared at the wall until morning. Building my first real product felt like learning to breathe underwater. I started with a simple idea, scheduling software for small clinics that couldn't afford the big enterprise systems. Nights blurred into mornings. I lived on instant ramen and black coffee, writing code in a notebook before transferring it to my laptop because I couldn't afford cloud storage yet. When I finally launched a beta version, I sent the link to 10 local clinics. 3 responded. 1 signed up. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, 1 active user, paying $19 a month. Mom called that week asking if I'd made any money yet. I told her I had 1 client. She laughed. 1 client? Elia, that's not a business. That's a hobby. You're wasting your life. I hung up and went back to coding. That 1 client became 5. Then 12. Then 40. She stopped asking after a while. Stopped calling altogether unless she needed something. When my platform hit 200 users, I felt like I'd summited Everest. Revenue was still small, barely covering server costs and my rent, but it was real. People were paying for something I built. Then Mom called. Her voice was different. Softer. Elia, honey, I heard your little business is doing well. I tensed. It's growing. That's so wonderful. Listen, I've been having car trouble. The transmission's going out. I was wondering if maybe you could help me get a new one. Just a used sedan. Nothing fancy. I closed my eyes. Mom, I can't. I'm reinvesting everything right now. Silence. Then her voice turned cold. Of course. I should have known. You've always been selfish. 2 weeks later, my aunt called to tell me Mom was telling everyone I refused to help her when she was struggling. That I'd gotten too big for my britches. I didn't defend myself. I just kept building. The family reunion was Aunt Delilah's idea. A big summer cookout at her house with everyone invited. I almost didn't go, but guilt is a powerful drug. When I arrived, Mom was already holding court on the patio, talking loud enough for everyone to hear. Oh, Elia's here. She's still doing that computer thing. We keep hoping she'll find something stable. My cousin Sienna asked what I did. Before I could answer, Mom cut in. She's between jobs, really. Trying to figure things out. I stood there holding a bowl of potato salad, invisible. Later, someone asked if I'd ever considered customer service. Tech support is always hiring, they said, smiling like they were helping. I nodded politely and excused myself to the bathroom. I sat on the edge of the tub and breathed slowly, counting tiles on the floor. 42. When I came out, they'd moved on to talking about Kendrick's new motorcycle. Nobody asked where I'd gone. 3 months after the reunion, Mom texted at midnight. Need a favor. Can I put the internet bill in your name? Just temporarily. My credit's a little messy right now. I stared at the message, exhausted. I'll think about it, I replied. She sent a thumbs up emoji. 2 months later, I got a notice in the mail. A cable and internet account under my name, 60 days overdue, sent to collections. I called the company. They confirmed, the account had been opened 3 months ago. My name, my social security number, my signature forged. I called Mom. She didn't answer. I called again. Voicemail. Finally, she texted, it was an emergency. Stop overreacting. That night, I sat at my desk and opened a spreadsheet. I started pulling records. Every credit report. Every utility notice. Every account I'd never opened. The list grew longer than I expected. 3 accounts. Then 5. Then 7. All under my name. All her doing. I hired a forensic accountant named Patricia. She was in her 50s, wore reading glasses on a chain, and spoke in calm, clipped sentences. "I've seen this before," she said, flipping through my files. "Family financial abuse. It's more common than people think." She pulled records going back 8 years. Cable subscriptions. Furniture store credit. A Visa card with a $4,000 limit that I'd never touched. All opened using my information. All unpaid. "You have legal options," Patricia said. "But they're not pretty. This is your mother." I nodded. "I know." She slid the folder across the desk. "Then you need to decide, do you want to fix this quietly, or do you want accountability?" I took the folder. "Both." Patricia smiled, small and knowing. "Then we'll need documentation. Lots of it." We spent the next 2 months building a case. Not for court. For protection. For leverage. For control. While Patricia worked in the background, my business was exploding. We hit 1,000 users in March. 1,500 in April. By June, I had 3 employees and venture firms circling like sharks smelling blood. I took meetings in coffee shops, in co-working spaces, over Zoom at midnight because investors lived in different time zones. One firm, Creston Ventures, was particularly interested. They liked the model, the growth rate, the scalability. We talked for months. They sent term sheets. I countered. They countered back. Finally, in late November, they made an offer I couldn't refuse. Full acquisition. $12.6 million. Half in cash, half in equity. The deal would close in 3 weeks. I told no one. Not my employees. Not my friends. Especially not my family. I'd learned long ago that good news in my house was just an invitation for someone to take a piece of it. So I stayed quiet and let the lawyers do their work. 2 weeks before Christmas, Mom texted asking if I could chip in for dinner this year. She was hosting and money was tight. I offered to bring dessert. She didn't respond. The next day, Kendrick called. "Mom says you're being difficult." I laughed. "I offered to bring dessert. You know what I mean." "She's stressed." "You could help more." "I've helped plenty." "Not lately. You're always so focused on your little project. Maybe try caring about family for once." I hung up. That night, I finalized the acquisition. Signed the papers. Watched the wire transfer hit my account. $12.6 million. Minus taxes. Minus legal fees. Still more money than I'd ever imagined. I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the number on my screen, and felt nothing. Not joy. Not relief. Just a cold, quiet certainty. They were about to learn what caring about family actually cost. Christmas Eve arrived cold and sharp. I drove to Mom's house with a store-bought pie and a smile that felt like a mask. The house smelled like cinnamon and roasted meat. Everyone was already there. Kendrick and his girlfriend. Aunt Delilah and Uncle Troy. Cousin Bryce with his new baby. Mom bustled around the kitchen, playing hostess, martyr, and comedian all at once. When I walked in, she glanced over. "Oh. You came." I said I would. Well, we didn't hold our breath. Laughter rippled through the room. I set the pie on the counter and found a seat at the far end of the table. No one had saved me a spot. I squeezed between Bryce and Uncle Troy, who barely acknowledged me. Dinner started without fanfare. Turkey, stuffing, green bean casserole. Plates passed hand to hand. Conversations overlapped. I ate quietly, listening to Kendrick talk about his new job in car sales, which he'd had for 3 weeks and already hated. Mom hung on every word like he was delivering a TED Talk. Halfway through dinner, Mom stood and tapped her glass with a fork. Everyone quieted. I just want to say how grateful I am to have everyone here tonight. Family is everything. She looked around the table, eyes landing on Kendrick. Especially you, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you for sticking with that job. He grinned. She turned to me. Her smile thinned. And Elia, of course. Still working on that computer thing? The table shifted. I felt every eye on me. Yes, I said evenly. Still working on it. Well, maybe next year you'll have something real to contribute. The words landed like a slap. Uncle Troy coughed. Aunt Delilah looked at her plate. Bryce smirked behind his napkin. I set my fork down carefully. Looked at Mom. Smiled. Maybe. She frowned, confused by my calm. Then she laughed it off and sat back down. The conversation moved on. But I stayed still, watching her, memorizing the moment. She had no idea what was coming. None of them did. After dinner, Mom cornered me in the kitchen while I was rinsing plates. She leaned against the counter, arms folded. You've been awfully quiet tonight. Just tired. You're always tired. Or distant. Or cold. She sighed. You're just like your father. Always holding grudges. I turned off the water. I don't hold grudges. Really? Because you've been acting strange for months. Ever since I asked for that little favor with the internet bill. You mean the bill you put in my name without asking? The one that went to collections? Her face hardened. That was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Yes. And you're blowing it out of proportion. You always do this, Elia. You make everything about you. I dried my hands slowly. I didn't make this about me, Mom. You did. When you used my name. My credit. My identity. She scoffed. Oh, stop being dramatic. We're family. That's what family does. We help each other. I looked at her. Really looked. And realized she believed it. She genuinely thought she'd done nothing wrong. Yeah, I said quietly. We'll see. 2 days after Christmas, the acquisition officially closed. The money transferred. My lawyer sent confirmation. I sat in my apartment, staring at my bank account, and felt the weight of 8 years lift off my shoulders. That same day, I went to the credit bureaus. Filed fraud alerts. Froze my credit. Locked down every account with my name on it. Then I called Patricia. It's done, I said. Good, she replied. Now we wait. How long? Not long. Systems move fast once they're triggered. She was right. 3 days later, Mom's debit card was declined at her nail salon. The utility company sent a notice about an unpaid account under review. Her furniture store credit line was suspended pending investigation. She texted me that evening, "Did something happen with your credit? I'm having issues with a few accounts." I replied, "Yeah. I fixed it." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. No response came. I set my phone down and poured myself tea. Outside, the city hummed. Inside, silence felt like victory. Mom called the next morning, voice shaking. What did you do? I secured my identity. Filed fraud alerts. Locked everything down. You what? You used my name without permission. Multiple times. I had to protect myself. Protect yourself? From your own mother? From fraud. That's what it's called, Mom. Fraud. She started crying. Loud, dramatic sobs. I can't believe you'd do this to me. I'm being humiliated. My card got declined in public. People are staring at me. I didn't do anything to you. I just stopped letting you use my name. You've ruined me, Elia. You've ruined your own mother. I closed my eyes. No, Mom. You did that yourself. She hung up. 10 minutes later, Kendrick called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. What the hell is wrong with you? Mom's crying. She's being investigated for some credit thing. This is your fault. Call me back. I deleted the message and blocked his number. I was done explaining myself to people who'd never listened in the first place. The investigation moved like a slow-moving avalanche. The bank flagged Mom's joint account for misuse of dependent information. She had to open a new one under her own name. She didn't qualify for a line of credit. Her application was denied. Twice. She tried to dispute the fraud claims. Her disputes were rejected. Patricia had done her job well. Every piece of documentation was airtight. Every timeline matched. Every forged signature was proven false. Mom texted me again, "You've always hated me, haven't you?" I stared at the message. Thought about 16-year-old me handing over coding money. Thought about 22-year-old me discovering loans I never took. Thought about every time she'd called my work a hobby, my success luck, my boundaries selfishness. I typed, "I never hated you. I just stopped letting you hurt me." She didn't reply. Days turned into weeks. The texts stopped. The calls ended. The family group chat went silent. For the first time in my life, no one was asking me for anything. It felt like breathing after being underwater too long. Christmas came again. This time, I didn't go to Mom's house. I didn't even consider it. Instead, I invited 6 friends to my apartment. We ordered Thai food, played board games, and laughed until our sides hurt. No one insulted anyone. No one brought up old wounds. No one asked for money. Around 10 p.m., someone raised a glass. To Elia. For hosting. To finally having peace, I said, raising mine. We clinked glasses. The sound was small but bright. Outside, snow was starting to fall, soft and quiet. Inside, my apartment felt like a home for the first time. I looked around at faces that saw me, really saw me, and realized something. This was family. Not the one I was born into. The one I built. Later that night, after everyone left, I sat by the window and watched the city sleep. My phone buzzed. A card in the mail. From Mom. No return address. I didn't open it. Just set it aside. Maybe someday. Maybe never. In January, Mom applied to co-sign Kendrick's apartment lease. The property manager called me to verify history. We're checking references for a Linda Thorne. You're listed as a financial contact. I paused. I wouldn't recommend her as a co-signer. Can you elaborate? She has a history of misusing credit and forging financial documents. I wouldn't trust her with any legal liability. Silence. Then, thank you for your honesty. Of course. They denied the application. Kendrick called me screaming. You sabotaged Mom. You cost us the apartment. I told the truth. That's all. You're vindictive. You're bitter. You've always been jealous of us. I almost laughed. Jealous? Of what? Mediocrity? Dependency? Go to hell, Elia. Already been. I left. I hung up and blocked him, too. The list of people I'd cut off was growing. It didn't feel like loss. It felt like trimming dead branches from a tree so the rest could grow. A week later, I received a letter from Mom's lawyer. She was filing for bankruptcy. My name was listed as a creditor. Incorrectly. I forwarded it to my attorney. She sent a cease and desist. The letter was retracted within 48 hours. Spring came quietly. I launched a new project, this time with proper funding and a team of 12. We rented an office downtown with big windows and standing desks. I hired carefully. People who worked hard, stayed humble, and didn't expect the world to hand them anything. One afternoon, an envelope arrived at the office. Handwritten. No return address. I opened it carefully. A card. Floral design on the front. Inside, Mom's handwriting, "I'm sorry for everything. I didn't understand how much I hurt you. I hope one day you can forgive me." No check. No request. Just words. I read it twice. Set it in my desk drawer. Didn't reply. Forgiveness wasn't something I owed her. It was something I gave myself. And I'd already done that the moment I stopped expecting her to change. Over the months, more cards came. Birthdays. Easter. Random Tuesdays. I kept them all. Not because I planned to respond. Just because they reminded me of something important. Silence isn't cruelty. Sometimes it's the kindest thing you can give someone who refuses to listen. By summer, my company had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. We hit 5,000 users. Revenue crossed 2 million annually. I hired a CFO, a head of product, and a customer success team. My life became meetings, strategy sessions, and investor calls. I loved it. One evening, I got a LinkedIn message from Aunt Delilah. "Hi Elia. I heard about your company. I'm so proud of you. I'm sorry for how things went at Christmas." I should have said something. I stared at the message for a long time. Then typed, "Thank you. I appreciate that." She replied immediately, "Can we get coffee sometime? I'd love to hear about your work." We met the following week. She asked real questions. Listened without interrupting. Didn't ask for money or favors. Just talked. At the end, she hugged me. "You did good, kid. Really good." I nodded, throat tight. "Thanks." It was the first time someone from my family had said those words without conditions. It mattered more than I expected. Fall arrived with crisp air and golden leaves. I was invited to speak at a tech conference in Seattle. 200 people in the audience. I talked about bootstrapping, resilience, and building something from nothing. Afterward, a young woman approached me. "Your story really inspired me. I've been trying to build something, but my family doesn't support it." I smiled. "Keep building anyway. Their doubt isn't your ceiling." She nodded, eyes bright. "Thank you." Watching her walk away, I realized something. My story wasn't just mine anymore. It belonged to everyone who'd been called a disgrace, a dreamer, a failure. Everyone who'd been told they weren't enough. I'd turned pain into something useful. Not revenge. Purpose. That night, I called Patricia. "Thank you. For everything. You did the work, Elia. I just helped document it. Still. Thank you. You're welcome. Now go live your life." I did. Fully. Loudly. Unapologetically. The girl who used to shrink at the dinner table had learned to take up space. And it felt like flying. Winter returned. I spent the holidays in Vermont with friends. We rented a cabin, drank hot chocolate, and watched snow fall through tall windows. No one yelled. No one belittled. No one asked for anything except company. On Christmas Eve, we cooked together. Someone burned the rolls. Someone else knocked over a glass of wine. We laughed until we cried. I realized this was the sound of family I'd been searching for all along. Not blood. Not obligation. Choice. That night, I checked my email. Another card from Mom. I didn't open it. Just archived it. Maybe someday I'd read them all. Maybe I'd respond. Maybe I wouldn't. Either way, I'd already won. Not because I'd hurt her. Because I'd saved myself. And in the end, that was the only victory that mattered. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through the windows. My phone buzzed. A notification from my bank. Another deposit. Another milestone. I smiled, set the phone down, and went to make coffee. Life was good. Quiet. Mine. Spring came again. My second year of freedom. I moved into a new apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the river, space to breathe. I hung art on the walls. Bought plants that didn't die. Hosted dinners where people laughed without cruelty. One evening, I got an email from Kendrick. Subject, can we talk? I stared at it for an hour. Then opened it. Elia, I know I messed up. Mom told me things that weren't true. I believed her without asking your side. I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. Just wanted you to know. I read it 3 times. Then closed my laptop. I wasn't ready to reply. Maybe I never would be. But the fact that he sent it meant something. Not redemption. Just acknowledgement. And sometimes that's enough to let go of the last thread of anger. I poured a glass of wine, stood by the window, and watched the city glow. Somewhere out there, people were fighting battles like mine. Somewhere, someone was being called a disgrace by the people who should have protected them. I hoped they found the strength I did. To walk away. To build anyway. To prove nothing to anyone but themselves. Today, I run a company worth $30 million. We have offices in 3 cities. I've been featured in Forbes, TechCrunch, and Wired. People ask how I did it. I tell them the truth, I stopped waiting for permission to succeed. Mom still sends cards. I still don't reply. Not out of spite. Out of peace. She taught me something valuable, even if she didn't mean to. She taught me that love isn't something you earn by shrinking. It's something you give yourself by refusing to. Kendrick reached out again last month. We had coffee. It was awkward but honest. We're not close. Maybe we never will be. But we're not enemies either. Just 2 people learning to exist in separate orbits. Aunt Delilah and I talk monthly now. She's the only one who ever apologized. The only one who asked what I needed instead of what I could give. That means everything. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that Christmas dinner. The laughter. The insult. The moment my fork froze midair. And I smile. Not because I got revenge. Because I got free. My name is Elia Thorne. I built an empire from a shoebox apartment. And the woman who called me a disgrace never saw it coming. Thank you for watching this story. If moments like these resonate with you, if you've ever had to choose yourself over people who couldn't see you, then you're not alone. We share stories like this every single day, real accounts of people who found their voice, set their boundaries, and walked into the life they deserved. Subscribe so you never miss next upload, and share your own story in the comments below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. I love you all.